Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, I'll say name is Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper 2. Last episode, we made our way to the scatter yards, spoke with a friend of Seraphin, known as Marco. He's going to help us get into Darkside in order to look around it and see if we can figure anything out. We've also got Surya's yard here. I don't know who Surya is, but if we're lucky... Nope, that's just cryo and energy. You know what? I'm not going to bother with that one. But I am going to try using it on the rig and see what happens in this one. That's a way to get energy. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Alright, end of the cycle. You find Seraphin and Marco waiting for you in the hidden room where you met before. They're chatting quietly, their shadows cast across the scaffolding by a small lamp. Sleeper, Marco's got something good. Tell them. Marco gives you a nod as you look at him, his mood quiet, conspiratorial. I don't know if it's as good as Finn thinks, but it is an opening. I heard back from a friend of mine who runs a yard on the edge of the cluster, a fair way out from here. Smart guy. He makes a tidy profit off selling fuel to freight crews on their way into Darkside. He undercuts the Darkside fuel prices, the Darkside dockyard fuel prices, which include a cut for Itsubo, so they stop off at his place to fill up before heading in. Marco smiles. Clearly, this is his kind of business. This guy, he owes me a favor, and I'm gonna call it in. He can get a few of us onto a freight crew, swap us out from the usuals who stay at his place, and let him have a few drinks on him. The crew, meaning us, will deliver the freight, complete with a stopover for cargo loading in Darkside. Which is when you do what you need to do. We'll have as long as we need, but the more time we spend there, the more likely they'll discover us. We'll keep our heads down, sleep and eat on the freighter. Then, once we're done and the freight is loaded, we take it on out again. Return to my friend's yard and swap the crews back. He shrugs, emphasizing the simplicity of the plan. No one will ever know we were there. See? It's good. It'll work, right? What if they check the crew list? What, on the manifest? Not going to happen. And who's to say you aren't the names on that list? This is the belt. Seraphin looks concerned. It's going to be tight, but I reckon you can get what you need in time. Make some connections with whoever is resisting Itsubo. Get an idea of their operation. Look for weaknesses. It'll have to be quiet, Finn. Marco gives you both a warning look. No noise, no attention. This can quickly become a one-way ticket. Seraphin turns to you. Think you can handle that? Together we'll get it done. Seraphin and Marco exchange concerned glances. What aren't they telling you? There's one more thing, Sleeper. Someone needs to stay with the rig. Someone who can pilot it if there's any attention at the yard. He meets your eye. It has to be like this. I'm sorry. I'll be going in with you. Marco puts a reassuring hand on your shoulder. I know Darkside. I will guide you all the way in and all the way out. There'll be room for one more of the crew. I'll leave who that is to you, but let me give you some advice. You better make sure you really trust anybody you take on this one. You look between the two of them. Just you and Marco might be the safer option. The fewer people, the less likely it is you give yourselves away. But then if Marco doesn't keep up his end of the bargain, you'll want all the backup you can get. The other problem is that we have to go right away. You see the rising tension in Marco's face. The freight is arriving this cycle. Seraphin turns to you. I'm sorry I can't come, Sleeper, but we need to do this now. Then let's go. Seraphin nods, his expression dark. I'll be ready whenever you need. Just give me the word and we'll head out to my friend's yard. We keep this tight and nothing needs to go wrong. His words echo in your mind as you leave the hidden room, a creeping doubt settling itself in the pit of your stomach. This is it. Time to go back to Darkside. Well, I am if we have to do it this round, I am not even gonna bother using the dice. Darkside Recon. Marco is a friend who will get you and your crew on a freighter headed to Darkside. Once you're there, you can investigate Utsobo and find a weakness. So you have that and that. So Yujin, you are again our only source of that. So fortunately, I trust you because of what you've done to help us. You're coming with us, Yujin. The freighter hangs over the ragged shipyard as the rig idles in the dock. Your eyes trace the fuel lines snaking up to its underside where they disappear into the dark. A chirp from the pilot's console breaks the silence. Marco's signal. This is it, Sleeper. Seraphin settles back from the controls of the rig. He looks over his shoulder at you. You better get going. Don't get too bored. I'll do my best. Hope they have something to drink in the yard. You glide towards the back of the cockpit. Seraphin clears his throat. Just don't do anything reckless, alright? As you float down the corridor towards the airlock, Marco comes to meet you, his usual gear swapped out for a plain set of overalls that you imagine are borrowed from the freighter crew. You ready to go, Sleeper? The crew we're replacing are already in the yard, so the sooner we get on board, the better. How are you feeling? Just fine, thanks. Marco meets your eye. If you want to do this, we need to trust each other. He pats you on the shoulder as you cross into the airlock. The airlock cycles and Marco leads you into the yard through a series of shadowy passages that connect the two docking bridges. Now's the time, Sleeper, Marco says as you work your way through the yard. Any questions, any concerns, speak up now. Will you have to pass any checks? This freighter is a known ship to Utsubo. It makes this route on a regular basis. They have no reason to suspect it. You reach a vertical tunnel and start ascending. At the docks, we'll probably have to give some enforcers a nod and a smile, but that's it. You come out at the entrance to the other docking tunnel, the freighter filling the viewing window so all you can see are the plates of its scratched hull. What's up, Captain? Eugene is waiting for you by the docking bridge, squeezed into an ill-fitting set of crew overalls. Like the undercover look. Bit snug. He holds out his arms to show the short sleeves. Yeah, it turns out the crew are all a bit small. I'm used to it. He bows a little and gestures to the docking bridge. After you. You hit the button to open the doors and glide towards the freighter's airlock. As you do, the fear settles in. You're going back to Darkside. Darkside sprawls out across the starscape, its surface a vast and random accumulation of structures, lights, and signs. You have watched it as the freighter cut across the belt, as it grew, cycle by cycle, like a stain across the cockpit glass. Watching it approach, the fragmented memories of your time there pass through your mind, each one dissolving the moment you try to focus on it. Only the sensations remain. Despair, claustrophobia, fear, all somehow strengthened by their disconnected nature. It's as if by not being attached to specific memories they can run free through your mind, as alive as they were in the first moment of feeling. Instruction achieved, appreciate it. Marco is in the pilot seat, talking to the port authority. Incoming to strut 2-3. He turns back to you, clicking off the outgoing comms channel. First step complete. We got docking approval, as expected. He raises his eyebrows, noticing something in your face. Keep it together, alright? I got this. Don't get ahead of yourself. Fine, stow all you want. It won't help us if things do go south. You feel a punch on your shoulder and you look across the cockpit to see a grinning Eugene. Chin up, Sleeper. I'll keep you safe. He shoots a look at the back of Marco's head. No matter who comes for you. He winks and leans back in his seat. There's a hollow rumble through the body of the freighter as Marco brings it into the dock. The noises of this draftier, more industrial ship differ to those of your rig, and you haven't quite gotten used to them yet. A squawk of noise over the comms sends Marco scrabbling at the controls to submit the docking code he was sent just moments before. There is an agonizing wait, and then a chirp as the code is accepted. The freighter is docked. Alright, let me go out first. Talk to the dockers, start the unloading. Then you're good to go. Okay, I'll wait. Alright, hold fast. and he glides out of the cockpit without waiting for a response. You hold your nerve looking out at the flickering lights and distant traffic. The airlock clunks open and closed again. Time drags on. You turn your attention to the job ahead. Seeing it stretched out in front of you, Darkside seems impossibly vast. Too vast to find a specific person, but just to find a type of person. Someone unhappy with Itsubo's gains, ready to risk their life to change this place, and pushed to the point of desperation or anger? That might be a lot more doable. But first you must understand Itsubo. See how they run this place, where they meet, what they talk about. Find where Itsubo is weakest. Find where they can be broken. And think about the pressure that might be applied not just by you, but by all of Darkside. Eugene absent-mindedly spins a metal bottle in the air, first one way, then the other. The slap of metal on his hand echoing through the cockpit with each catch. Let him do it. The airlock cycles once more, and moments later Marco is in the cockpit, sweat beading on his brow. He takes a moment, his mood uncharacteristically flustered. Well, I bent the truth a little back there, but I think we're good. He runs a hand over his hair, slicking it back into place. Luckily, I've had a lot of practice lying to dock workers. They'll begin unloading later this cycle, and they won't be in a rush. We have our time, as promised. But the sudden interjection evaporates any relief you were feeling. Itsubo are watching these docks. That, I know for sure. For now, we are just another freighter. But all that coming and going, that could be a problem. We can try to disable their monitoring or just get the job done before it becomes an issue. Why didn't you say anything earlier? I didn't know earlier. But we know now. Either way, we need to get on with what we are doing. Itsubo are everywhere, but we need to understand them, to know what is happening inside their organization. We slip under their skin and find out how they work. This is what I recommend. But now, Sleeper, it is your turn to lead. He folds his arms. Tell us where to begin. You feel the attention, the pressure shift to you. Time to find some allies. Time to find Itsubo's weakness. Time to stop running and resist. One crisis active. One per cycle. With Itsubo monitoring the docks, there's only a certain amount of time before they find you. Unless you blind them. The fastest and crudest way to disable surveillance is to cut wires until it goes offline, but which to cut. And the Itsubo surveillance uses the dock's layered network. With some careful and deliberate work, it could be disabled completely. We've also got two areas to look through. The Wash Gate. The dock at Wash Gate is under Itsubo control, making it a solid place to start when trying to infiltrate their operations. The fastest way to get information on Itsubo will be to kick up a conversation with the dockers. It's not exactly subtle. And the safest way to investigate Wash Gate is by listening in to the dockers, but who knows if you'll get the information you need. Meanwhile, we also have one other area up here, the Rise. You've heard the Rise is a hub for Itsubo operations and enforcers. You need to find where they meet. Itsubo enforcers aren't hard to spot, so with some patience and effort, following them will lead you to their meeting place. Or hack the comms. To find the Itsubo safe house in the Rise, you need to monitor the network chatter between enforcers without being caught. That's going to take a long time. What I want to do is disable the surveillance. I can cut the connections here. Mapping the connections, it becomes more obvious which cables need to be cut and in what order. And for this one of the monitoring nodes goes dark and no Itsubo tech will know why. Well, let's try a 4. System is complex and full of fail-safes. Alright, you can do a look at the Wash Gate. Docker debate, that's fine. There's a nice one. Not keen on the stress, but that did help. More stress. Got it. We've got Docker's Rest. Let's see. Many of the dockers are members of Utsubo, making this bar the perfect place to score an ID cipher. We can steal a passkey. The fastest and most dangerous way to get an entry cipher is to steal a physical passkey. First you have to find a mark. Or, rather than steal a passkey wholesale, it might be safer to hack the personal slates of the dockers and extract enough data for a fake. Dock surveillance is risky, but if I can get at least a little bit. Okay. Is it even worth it? I feel like it is. Okay. That's one round done. End the cycle. What do we got now? Couple sixes. That's actually really good. I can use these. Let's cut these connections some more. Okay, hack the surveillance. We do it one more with that 4. The system collapses with a screech of white noise. Utsubo are blind to what goes on in the watch gate docks now. Excellent. Now, let's see what we can do here. You've got 3s, so you can help with stealing a passkey. That added Utsubo stress, which is bad. That also added stress. That is also bad. Why did that add stress? Fine, 100% positive. That helped. Unfortunately, everything else is bad and can't give us anything we need. I feel like this would be risky. Eugene, can you find anything if you track the enforcers? Well, that did something with a positive outcome, but I'm not going to risk getting a 1. Let's go ahead and end the cycle. At least it's not increasing once per. Okay. This is going to be good. So steal a passkey here. And again. Passkey is stolen smoothly. This should contain a full cipher for entry into Utsubo facilities. You leave Docker's Rest with an Utsubo passkey in hand, sure to get you inside one of their safe houses. Now the trick is to find one. You make your way through the docks, head down in the dark passageways. Sleeper? Eugene's voice has a rare nervous twinge to it. Marco's gone. You stop in the Darkside passageway you were drifting down, a quiet connection between 2 thoroughfares. You glance around at the loose bundles of wires and stained metal plates. Seems like a safe place to talk. He mentioned he had something to deal with, and then he left. Kicked off and ran out like Utsubo were about to boot the door in. You pause for a moment, unsure how to react. What's going on? Not a clue. I don't want to cast accusations, but it seems like some snaky shit to me. You take a moment. No need to panic. Marco brought you here, he'll get you out. You look down the corridor towards a busier, wider passage where people drift by. If he needed to deal with something, then... well, he needed to deal with something. It doesn't mean anything. I'm sure as well hell wish he had given you a warning. Surveilled and now short-handed, this job is going from bad to worse. Okay, now we need to go on the rise in order to find something. And it's only him and me. Well, I can do this. That's the best I can do right now. I'm not gonna risk Eugene on something he can't do. End the cycle. We only have a little bit, so we need good rolls here. Those are good rolls. That's gonna help out a lot. Track the enforcers. Good. The enforcers all cross through one area of the rise. Their meeting place must be here somewhere. And this is a good chance. Got it. You have isolated the Utsubo safe house location, but now you'll need to gain entry. Which we can. A simple door leads down into what you suspect is an Utsubo safe house. All you need is the passkey cipher to enter. We have it. The unmarked door slides open as you use the cipher. Beyond it, a dark tunnel descends, its roof a mess of bundled tubes and wires. Entering, you see a flickering light at its far end and hear the soft echo of raised voices. Yujin pats you on the shoulder. Into the snake's nest. Let's see what they are plotting. You drift down the tunnel, keeping your limbs clear of the sides, your passage through the air silent and gentle. You focus on the flickering light, the sound of the voices growing ever louder. As you descend through the tunnel, you notice a small dark doorway, leading off before the tunnel reaches the bottom. You slow yourself gently, fingertips grazing the metal walls on either side. Glancing through, you see the doorway leads out onto a framework balcony, high on the wall of some dark room. You glance down to the bottom of the tunnel and hear the voices rising in volume. Here. Let's keep to the shadows. You come out onto the balcony overlooking a dark cavernous room, lit in patches with a bright area at the far end. It is filled with people, Utsubo enforcers and members, all facing forward, their floating bodies silhouetted by the pool of bright light ahead. And in that bright pool, two figures are arguing. You come to the edge of the balcony, a feeling of safety granted to you by both your elevation and the cover of darkness. Below, the entire room has its attention focused on the two figures in the pool of light, the watching audience keeping to the dark perimeter as if they were observing a piece of theater. You feel Yujin arrive beside you, his attention like yours on the scene below. These are my territories. You need to withdraw. One figure, their features hard to define in the pool of light, gestures at the other. There is no discussion to be had. The other figure laughs. You're pathetic, Orin. The watch gate is a joke like you. He turns to the crowd and you see dark hair, dark eyes, and a smile like a slit. The dark-haired figure addresses the gathered crowd. Orin makes nothing from the wash gate. All that freight, and he lets it slip by while he soaks up bribes. Jeering echoes around the crowd. He is stealing from you all. Daichi, you piece of shit! Orin spits, a glinting orb zipping past the other man. You have no respect! A few of the crowd enter the light, gathering behind one figure or the other. Barely more than an enforcer, and already dictating terms. If you had any idea what was happening in the passages, you'd know we've been facing sabotage and resistance across the Watch Gate. Utsubo's control is under question. Sabotage and resistance. Quietly log the remark in your mind. Those are the people you have to find. Daichi smirks in response. I still know how it is in the passages, but you are getting soft, Orin. You can't deal with some angry shop owners. It's easy to mock, but they are organized, and I am close to rooting out their meeting places. You wouldn't know where to start looking. If you say so, old man. In the end, it's only a matter of time before someone ambitious notices how weak you've become. Daichi draws a finger across his throat with a grin. The room erupts in shouts. Both sides call out insults while others from the crowd air their own problems, some drifting in the light to heckle Daichi and Orin directly. Silence! A voice cuts through the room, raised above all others. The noise drops. You lean forward to get a better view. Ankita! Well, that's someone I've not seen in a while. A woman holds her muscled arms in the air, a wide, strong posture of control, not surrender. Both of you! She shakes her head, her long braids snaking through the air as she does. Enough! This is not how we do things! The chaos is replaced by a disgruntled muttering, no one voice willing to rise above the murmur. Daichi floats to one side, arms coolly folded, while Orin fumes opposite him, his hands in tight fists. So, this is how the Starward Ward conducts its business? Animals, fighting over scraps. Ankita? Orin eyes Daichi as he speaks. Daichi is the one disrespecting the leadership, and the trust they have placed in... I said enough! Your weakness does not impress me, Orin. She turns to Daichi. And neither does your petulance, Daichi. Watch who you're calling weak, Ankita. You may be Lane's favorite, but I have something that will change all that. He looks out over the heads of the crowd. Bring him! A figure is dragged into the circle of light, their head low, a greasy tangle of dark hair drifting over their face. They lift a hand and slick it back out of their eyes. Marco, Eugen hisses from beside you, as Marco's pale face catches the light, gleaming with sweat. This one here has a very interesting story to share with us all. Orin gestures to the gathered crowd. I'm sure you're all aware of the bounty Lane has put on the head of a very valuable escaped sleeper and their accomplices. Well, Marco here tells me, he smiles at Marco, whose eyes are fixed forward, squinting into the light, that same sleeper is, right now, on a freighter moored in the Washgate docks. Ah, shit. A ripple runs through the gathered crowd, a reflection of the value of this information. You wonder how much cryo is on Yor and Seraphin's heads. You look into Marco's eyes, attempting to see any indication of what this might be. A desperate bid to save himself, or a betrayal of everything you agreed upon? His set stare reveals nothing. Now, Lane himself will be returning in 3 cycles. You can imagine how pleased he will be when I present the sleeper to him. Ankita stares at Orin. You had no business keeping this from me. I will be the one to bring the sleeper in. Not so fast, Ankita. Orin turns to the gathered crowd. The first of you to bring me the sleeper will be given a share of the Washgate. He shoots a look across the circle of light. That includes you, Daichi. The crowd erupts into shouts and movement, the assembled Utsubo members suddenly up and moving towards the doors. You push yourself into the corner of the balcony, tucking yourself into the shadows as you hear the tunnel filling with voices. There are shouts and scuffles, and you fear that any moment you will be discovered. But as time passes, the noise subsides. You only open your eyes when the sound disappears altogether, the Utsubo members on their way to your freighter. The freighter that is supposed to take you off Darkside. You feel the panic rising. You're trapped here once more. Eugen's heavy hand falls on your shoulder. We need to go, Sleeper. He guides you towards the doorway. You ascend through the tunnel, silent, slow. Your eyes are on the entrance, hoping that no Utsubo member returns or enters. And then you're back out in the main passageway, blinking in the light of the fluorescent panels and gliding away from the entrance, lost in a daze. Somewhere in the rise, you'll eventually stop, not sure where you might be going, but needing to get away from what you just witnessed. You can't go back to the freighter, that much is clear. Which means no supplies, no place to sleep. Then there's Marco. Was this always part of his plan, or is this just him in survival mode? Your mind fills with questions and worries, the path ahead unclear. We need to find somewhere to hide out. Eugen interrupts your thoughts, idling behind you in the passage. Until we can find a way off this station. His face is set in a grim frown, none of his usual humor present. But where? Eugen looks around. Well, up here isn't bad. It's far enough away from the port. He eyes a few nearby doorways. There's got to be an abandoned unit among all these. Marco really screwed us over. Eugen punches a metal panel in a sudden burst of anger. Should have trusted my gut. You know, for someone who regularly lied in order to get something he really, really wanted, they say a liar knows a liar. He should have trusted his gut. I probably could have listened to him. Would I have? Maybe he didn't have a choice. What does it matter? He should have kept his mouth shut. Any of us would have. You eye Eugen, remembering the first job you ran together and wondering how he would frame his own betrayal of Vesna. But you push the thought away, knowing now is not the time for it. Can you really leave this place without Marco? How would Seraphin react? If he actually has been caught by Utsubo, can you forgive him for giving in to the pressure? You struggle to gather the same anger towards him as Eugen, perhaps because you have been where Marco is now, under Utsubo's control. What would you have done to escape? Who would you have given up? The bigger problem is how we get off this miserable station. I don't suppose you have any tips from last time you did it? You think of the last time you were here. The mad rush to the rig, barely conscious from the reboot while Seraphin dragged you through the seemingly endless corridors of the station. Let's take it one step at a time. I'll find a unit we can squat. He drifts off down the passage, checking doors. You take a moment trying to find a focus. Maybe if you could find those resisting Utsubo, they could help you. Though you wonder if they ever existed at all, given that Marco was the one who reported their existence to you and Seraphin. Was this whole thing a ploy to collect the bounty to bring you to Darkside? If you search out Marco, perhaps he can answer you, for better or worse. But then you recall Orin's words. Sabotage and resistance. If that was an honest plea, then there is some truth in what Marco said. Utsubo is being resisted. You try to gather yourself. You have to bounce back, to come up fighting. Otherwise this place will drown you in its darkness. Okay. Well, we can't do anything there. We got an abandoned unit, so we can rest here, but it gives us stress and crew stress. This is gonna be bad. And Flicker Row. All your supplies are aboard the freighter. Shopping is too great a risk. Stealing is the only way to eat and stay hidden. Flicker Row lives up to its name. It is a dizzying strip of screens and stalls piled high with tech. Can you find supplies among all this? We've got low rolls. I can push, but it's the best option we got. Alright. And we'll have to do that in the next episode, because this one's gone on long enough. Next episode, we try to find some way out of here. Until then, I am Chester44, also known as Falai. This has been a Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper 2, and I shall see you all next time.